All right. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, we're good.
Amazing.
We see everything. Looks great.
Oh, good. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I don't know if I'm going to bring as much energy as Brittany did yesterday. I'm going to try to because I know it's early and it's a Saturday and you guys are waking up. So hopefully you had your coffee. My name is Christy Duckett Harris, and I actually invest in all types of the business, but I found a specialization in mobile homes. So this is kind of a rundown of who I am and what I do. So you'll see my beautiful family. I'm a proud mom, wife of two boys. Now they're 4 and 6. And this has been an amazing year because we've been able to be home with them all the time because we are actually schooling a kindergartner. We're virtual schooling. So I'm like keeping it real. You see that under what I'm a big believer in, and keeping it real is one. So I know a lot of you have hectic lives. You have a lot going on. We're the same. And we've been able to take this business and actually do this from home with the kids, which is amazing. So to give you a little background about myself, I've been investing since 2007. And I actually started my investment career in Orlando, Florida. Saw a couple of people logging on from Florida. And I've actually been investing in mobile homes since 2009. And that was kind of by coincidence, to be honest with you. I started out like everyone and most do in single family homes. And I started buying houses and flipping them. And you guys remember, with the bubble, what happened during that time period. And I was investing through that bubble and actually came across some information about mobile homes and started reading a little more about them. And at the time when I was in Florida, I realized they were everywhere. You have the senior living parks and the retirement parks, but I didn't really understand them. So I asked two guys that had mentored me in homes, in single family homes. And I said, what do you think about mobile homes? And they said, stay away from them. They're awful. You don't want to get involved in those. So like a good investor, I didn't listen to them. I went on to my next group and pocket of mentors that actually specialized in mobile homes. And this is before really there was any mobile home hype. I feel like nobody knew about mobile homes, or if they did, they were like, stay away from them, do not do them. So it was kind of interesting. I started meeting people that own parks. I started meeting people that owned individual homes. And I thought, there's really a business to this. And literally around that same time period, I had moved up to Columbia, South Carolina, which was where I'm located at now. And I started meeting lots of older investors that owned mobile home parks, mobile homes. And I started looking at the returns and numbers on them. And I thought, there's definitely a business in this. I really need to start doing this. And that's what started happening. I started getting into the mobile homes, learning the intricacies of them, how to flip them, how to buy and hold them, how to owner finance them, everything. So I've been coaching real estate since 2012, and that's on all levels, which I enjoy helping and giving back. I believe in education and knowing what you're doing before you do it, because you can make a lot of mistakes. So I really enjoy just helping people. I originally grew up in Culpeper, Virginia. I don't know if anybody knows where that is. I'm sure there's one or two people that do. It used to be a really small farming town outside of Washington, D.C. by 62 miles. And now it actually has grown into this little suburb of D.C. So I grew up with that mentality of my father's a farmer. He's 74 years old now. Guy's still out in the fields farming. He'll never give that up. They live on a farm, 250 head of cattle, hardworking. So I grew up with a hard work ethic, but I knew, there's got to be a better way. But my parents really pushed going to college like everyone, right? The dream of get a job, stay there. So literally I went to Radford University and got my degree in psychology, which was great because I could deal with people. I went into sales, but ultimately found real estate, was where I wanted to be. And I knew that real estate was always the way to wealth. It was just learning. So knowing that, kind of getting into the mobile homes, I've been able to diversify my portfolio. So I want to start by saying, listen, guys, I'm not the guru. I hate when people use that word. I'm the guru of mobile homes. I'm not. Listen, here's the truth. I'm just somebody smart enough to know you can make money in it. And I read a lot, learned a lot, and I'm going to teach you guys what to do and what to look for when you find a mobile home, because I feel like everyone's going to get a lead at some point. I saw a lot of you are in Georgia, South Carolina, Texas, there's mobile homes everywhere. And if you're getting this lead and you're just tossing it to the side because you don't know what to do, you're just passing over money. So my goal today is to spend some time teaching you what to look for, what to do, and then kind of open your eyes to the mobile home world. So let's get started. Actually, hold on, guys. I'm trying to get to the next slide and it's not working. I'm going to get some help here. So my next slide will talk about the different ways of investing in the mobile homes and why it's an untapped market, what's really the difference of mobile homes and what to look for, and the mobile home must knows. And there's also 6 ways to profit, and I'm not going to go today, but I'm going to go into 2 that can really help you diversify in the mobile homes. And I just want to encourage that it's really not a must to know how to use technology in your PowerPoint to be able to do mobile homes. So it's an untapped market, guys. I'm sure you know, most of you know, who is one of the biggest owners of mobile homes in the United States. And if you don't, it's Warren Buffett. So that should tell you something right there. And I've noticed probably a trend within the last 3 or 4 years of more students that I coach asking about mobile homes and more people buying mobile home parks. So I think what people are finding out is it's a great way to diversify that is affordable. And when we talk about the untapped market, a lot of people don't get into it because of the fear of the unknown. So, which I think sometimes is a good thing, because if you don't know something, you shouldn't do it, because when you jump into it, what happens? You start making mistakes and you start losing money. So I would rather everybody be educated and know what to do than to jump into something and not. So that really is the #1 reason I think people stay away from mobile homes. The next is the negative image of mobile homes. And let's talk about that. If most of you were to think about mobile homes, and I think of growing up in my small town, there were 3 specific mobile home parks. I remember one actually sat ironically across from my parents' farm. We knew the owners, and looking back, it's funny now at 74, my dad says, I wish I would have developed some of our farm into the mobile home park. It's such a moneymaker. So it's kind of ironic, but that park was the nicer, like middle class park. Then we had a park that was very rundown, very drug infested. That was the one that you would think of, the trailer park. It was the bad park. And then there was another one that was mostly like older folks that lived in it. So there's different types of parks you can come across, and that's when we talk about individually buying homes. But when we talk about that negative image, we tend to think of not a mobile home. We think of a trailer when somebody says mobile home. It's like the junky, trashy meth heads. That's what you see on TV, right? And that's not the case. So I think the image is changing, which is awesome. So I think that's why more people are coming into the business. Now, another reason people stay out of it is they're unsure how to estimate repairs. So for those of you that have not walked into a mobile home, I would highly recommend go into a mobile home. I want you to look at it. I want you to look at the differences between a single family home, whether you're experienced or whether you're starting in the business. Go walk both of them. You're going to notice there's certain materials that are used that are different. Okay. In mobile homes, there is a product they use on the wall that looks like panel board, right? And then there's sheets they call Luan, which is like a cheaper version of wall paneling. And that's really specific to mobile homes. You'll notice the cabinet sizes are different in mobile homes, even the stove size, the bathtub. So there's some measurements that are different. So what you'll find is some of these things people stay out of because they're like, what? I mean, am I supposed to use a licensed GC to do this? Can I even take out a wall in the mobile home? So people, again, are unsure of how to estimate those repairs and who to use. And the biggest thing I get a lot of times is they are unsure how to value the home. So when you look at a mobile home, and you guys, if you haven't pulled any in your area, I would recommend really start with like Craigslist, even pull up the MLS to kind of see, you know, what is out there, you know, what are the price points. You guys can get mobile homes for free. That's no joke. I've gotten them for free. You can get them for $2,000, $3,000. Now, obviously the condition probably isn't going to be the best in those. And typically a lot of times you're just buying the home. You're not buying the land. But what ends up happening is when we talk about comping out single family homes, it's very easy because you can pull numbers off the MLS, you can pull them in a neighborhood. And when it comes to a mobile home that you're just selling the mobile home, there's really no system out there to necessarily pull comps. Now there's helpful tools. There's a website, it's the NADA.com, that helps you actually pull the Blue Book value of mobile homes. And that's almost like the Kelly Blue Book for cars, because if you're buying a mobile home, it really is like a car. So what ends up happening is when people can't value what they should sell it at, they end up going, I'm just not going to do it because I, don't want to buy this, fix it up, and then not be able to sell it. But I'm going to show you how we flipped a property that we are actually able to pull comps on. So that's a little bit different than just an individual home. So we'll touch on that in just a bit. And the other big thing is the lack of education. And I think the lack of education, again, for most, keeps people out of it. And, they listen to someone that talks negatively, and we've all encountered this, and I hear it even in the current market. There's no deals on the MLS. There's no deals on the MLS right now. Yeah, you're right, guys. Inventory is low. It is harder to find deals. But again, educate yourself on how to find those deals off the MLS, because I assure you right now, there are deals on the MLS. It's just educating yourself to know what to do. So on the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about the untapped opportunity. And really, for me, the lack of education equals the act of really kind of competition. Okay, so like getting into that, when I look at that, I say, okay, well, if people don't have the education, they're not going to do it. So in my opinion, that's actually a good thing. It's like, okay, well, now no one out here is doing it. The flexibility of mobile homes is big. So when we talk about the flexibility in the business, what being flexible really means to me is there's many different options you can do. So when you buy a single family home that is on the ground and you're selling it, it's a single family home. Like you can't do much with it, right? You can fix it up, you can flip it, you can keep it as a rental. With the mobile home, you can buy a house, right, for a couple $1,000s. If you own a piece of land, you can move that house to land and attach it to the land and rent it. You can rent the home. You can rent the land only. If somebody brings their own home on the land, you can rent just the land and collect money and not have to deal with the home. You can buy on someone else's park. You can pay them lot rent and you can collect the rent. So really what I find that's super cool about this business is there's a ton of opportunity to make money in many different ways. And I think affordability is the next thing. And I'm going to say affordability on both realms. So affordability, meaning housing affordability right here in our market, meaning housing rental rates and prices are going up, 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 up. And people are almost, that's why people are buying now. They're going, interest rates are low. I can buy cheaper right now than I can actually rent a house. So I might as well just go ahead and buy a house. So you're finding the affordability for people. Some of our mobile homes we have are Section 8 housing. So it's affordable living for people on a fixed income. A lot of people, and especially in the last year with the pandemic, are now starting to travel a lot. And they're to the way of life now that we're almost nomadic, right? We don't have to live in the same house. And that's happening with the baby boomers. It used to be, and I can speak for my parents, you buy your house, you live there literally until you die. I mean, that's the truth. I'm in my 40s, and for us now, we really are nomadic. We can pick up and move. We can sell a house. A house to us is just an investment tool. It's, yeah, we want to live somewhere with the kids so they can remember their childhood memories, but we're not married to that. So the affordability of baby boomers being able to, hey, let's get an RV, let's get a mobile home instead of buying a $500,000 home. Let's actually travel and then be able to come back to that affordable home. So that's what's driving that. And then you have young couples that, are on a very fixed income and can't afford some of the rentals out there. So this creates a great dynamic for everyone. And as an investor, I think it's also the affordability of buying it, because you can, I feel like, single family homes scare a lot of people because the price points, especially if you're in a California market, a New York, a Washington, Miami, the price points are very high. So people that tend to want to get into real estate get afraid because one, They're going, where am I going to find the money to do this? How can I ever get started? So the affordability intimidates them from not getting started. So I think mobile homes are a fine line of like, hey, I could just get into this business with a couple $1,000s. And I think it's great because it gets your feet wet into the business and it allows you the opportunity to make cash flow or flip and have the experience, but not be afraid of the numbers. Demographics, we kind of talked about the older and the younger, that ties into the affordability nature too. And as you guys know, like as the pandemic kind of drags on and a lot of people are forbearing their mortgage payments, what's going to end up happening is a lot of people, unfortunately, are going to be losing their homes. We know that the floodgates probably will open spring to summer. And I think after that, people are really going to start to evaluate, do I need a house that's really expensive or do I just need something I can sustain and live? So I think that affordability and demographic will be everyone from every age, older and younger. And the potential return on investment, that's probably one of my favorite because, you know, when we buy single family homes, and I know a couple of the ladies have been talking about passive income, which again, we do have single family homes as well. But we talk about the return on investment for a passive income investor looking anywhere from 8 to 10% on average, maybe 12. With our mobile homes, because of the price point we're able to buy, we have really been able to go in and have a much higher return on investment. So we've been able to come in and sometimes get 18 to 20% return on investment, cash on cash. So it's a pretty cool strategy to kind of ramp up your numbers. And I know some people stay away from mobile homes because they think, gosh, they don't appreciate like single family homes, right? You know, I don't want to buy a depreciating asset. Well, guys, when I'm buying a $8,000 or $10,000 mobile home, I'm not looking for that thing to be worth, you know, 2 million one day. That's why I buy my houses, right? I'm looking for the appreciation that, but sometimes the cash flow for some people on their mobile home and on their single family homes, if they're mortgaging them, ends up being about the same. So when you look at that, it's like, gosh, I can take a minute amount of money and put that into something that can really be a valuable tool. What's the difference? Okay, so we talk a lot about, and I get this because people are going, what's a mobile home? What's a manufactured home? And what's a modular home? Like, what is the difference between all of these? So the easiest way to break it down, a mobile home was the first thing ever created, okay? A mobile home was made, and it technically is a manufactured home, but what happened is there was a HUD law that passed in 76, and what ended up happening is everything prior to that year was considered a mobile home because it wasn't built to a certain standard. So when you find anything before that, it was considered a mobile home. After that point, what ended up happening was HUD came in and made divisions and rules of how they should be manufactured and made. And then they were titled as manufactured homes. So the reality is it's kind of just a word people interchange. We think about a mobile home being in a mobile home park. It means it's mobile, okay, guys? So if you put a home in a park and you do not own the land and it's there, you can take that mobile home and move it at any point, okay? So if you want to move it to a piece of land or another park or sell it to an investor to move out of the park, it's still mobile. So basically it has one main beam down the middle. And again, like I said, if you've never been in a mobile home, we'll talk about going to a mobile home dealership to actually see what do they really physically look like, because I think it's important to be able to understand them. There is an L beam that goes down the middle, and most of the mobile homes and parks are found on concrete blocks. Wooden pillars are a concrete pad or foundation. So when you go into a mobile home park, if you look at a mobile home, you're going to see underneath all of those things. When you think about a manufactured home, again, HUD built the standards in 1976, and the houses became more durable. So there's actually a HUD sticker, and I'll show you a picture of that so you understand what I'm talking about, or plate on the home that you do not want to remove. And what happens is when you come in and you have a manufactured home and you go to sell this, it's actually inspected for the utilities when you hook them up. You have to get a county inspector to come in and basically look at the home and approve that everything's hooked up. And they're going to make sure everything's good before you get the power cut on. So a modular home, I get this question a lot. Well, a modular home is what? You know, like, I don't understand. A modular home is actually like a house. It's built in a factory. So when you're driving, you'll see a house and you'll say, that really looks like a house, but they're piecing it together. That is actually a modular home. It's built to the same standards of a stick built, and it is actually comped out like a stick built home. So you can compare modular homes to actual single family homes. Whereas manufactured homes and mobile homes are compared to other manufactured and mobile homes. So a code inspector, just like on a single family home, must come in and actually approve everything when you get that started. Now here's a diagram and a breakdown for you of a single wide. And again, it's, could be 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom. I've even seen 1-bedrooms. Of course, just like houses, the most desirable, best floor plans are going to be your 3-bedroom, 2-bath. They sometimes give you the best return on investment. I'm actually starting to see, as we're re-renting some of our mobile home single wides, the 2-2s are getting a lot of action too. I mean, I think they're kind of coming up because, again, they're affordable, right? And if you don't want to live in an apartment below someone or on top of someone, it's really nice to have a yard. So I think that's desirable when people have children in a park and they're looking at that. So 14 by 80 is the very common size of a single wide mobile home. And of course, they're factory built again. Now, when we look at a double wide means exactly what it says. It's basically 2 pieces of single wide put together, and it's split down the middle, and it has a connector that connects the 2 pieces together. So typically 40 by 60 wide. Once in place, they are hardly ever moved. That is the truth. Because they're 2 pieces. So once you move it, you have to take it apart and put it back together. And what you're going to see is that most of these double wides are placed on land. They're actually put on land and attached to the land, meaning they're detitled. So to give you a little background on that, once you detitle a home, it actually becomes real property. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But you're moving 2 separate pieces with individual VIN numbers. So just remember, if you go to move that, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, and then you're going to have to piece the houses back together, and there's going to be some patchwork. So I would, if you're buying in the beginning just for rental, look at single family. Look at single wides. A lot easier to move. Now, when we talk about mobile home must-knows, and again, I put the details basically make the big difference. And again, this is why people stay out of them. So when you look down in the bottom corner, when I'm pointing to that metal plate on the front of the double wide mobile home, that is a HUD tag, okay? And up in the upper right-hand corner of my slide, there is a data plate, okay? So what this means, that HUD tag verifies that this home has been built to HUD guidelines. And what happens with that plate, it's usually red, but by the time you buy the mobile home 20 years later, it's silver, it's faded out so much. But you want to make sure that there is a tag on the front and the back of a double wide. And that means that both of those have been approved. And why this is important, guys, if you plan on flipping that house, that HUD tag has to be on there in order for the buyer to be able to get FHA financing. Okay, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac actually now are funding mobile homes to flip on land, and we're going to talk about comping those out. And the data plate has to be on the home too. Now, the data plate is a rundown of basically the home, what wind zone it's in, how old it is, where it was manufactured. And that data plate is found in usually the electrical box, the kitchen cabinet, or a closet in the bedroom. And the reason I'm telling you these things, if you're just buying it to rent, it's not a big deal. But if you're buying it to flip, that data plate and that HUD need to be on there, or you need to keep those. So it's really important before you start demoing and ripping everything out of the house that you find these 2 things and save them, or definitely on the data plate, take a picture so you have it. The HUD tag has to be on there. Now, if it's missing, because I've heard people say before, oh, if it's missing, don't buy it. That's not the case, guys. One of the 2 definitely needs to be there. It's a research project if they're not. There is a website you can go to and enter the information to have them send you a new data plate copy. And then also you can get the HUD tag. But again, it's a process. So when you're buying to flip, make sure those are on there. Is it real property or chattel? So what that really means, when I talked about detitling a mobile home, and I'm going to show you one that was detitled that we flipped. What happens is a mobile home is built at the manufacturer, the land is purchased, okay? And you take the land and you take that home and you attach it to that land and you remove all parts underneath that home that are going to allow you to move it. So you take the wheels off, you take the tongue off, you take everything. And as you can see in that bottom right-hand picture on my slide, that is basically left on a home to pull it off and make it mobile. So all of that stuff is removed off the home, and that's what makes it real property. And then it's tied down to a certain method, okay, that you are now able to get financing on it to sell it. So that's really important for the real property piece. Chattel means it's just a mobile home, guys. It's in a park. It has the tongue, the wheels, everything. It's considered basically like a car. It's sold on a title at the DMV, just like a car. So when we talk about buying a home in a park to sell it on financing, can people get financing? Absolutely. Some of the nicer parks, like you see in Florida, Arizona. I have a student that I've coached in Montana who flips properties in parks. People are able to go get chattel loans at the small local bank. The difference is the interest rate is very, very high on them. So no, like if you're selling these homes and they're in a park and you're just selling the home, that the numbers make sense and you have comps. So if you're selling it to someone to get financing, you're gonna have to have valid comps. And again, you're gonna use an agent to pull those comps to get your most accurate off the MLS. And if you can't pull comps, so here's the deal. Sometimes you buy a single wide mobile home or double wide in a park, and you're just buying the house and you're looking just to rent it or wholesale it, right? Or owner finance it, seller finance it to someone. What's going to happen is you're not really as concerned about comps because you're selling it back to someone where you've bought it all cash and you're selling it back to them. So what you need to do is some research on that park and area to find out what exactly are houses selling for in that park or around that area. So that's going to be more of just going around and calling some of the homes to see like what's fixed up here and what's selling. Running ads, I call them ghost ads. Hey, 3-bedroom, 2-bath for sale for $15,000. Is somebody going to buy that? If you're getting no calls, that means they're not going to pay it. If you're getting calls that someone will buy at $10,000 cash, you know that's your sweet spot. So it's really different when you're just buying an individual single wide in a park. Local and city, county rules and regulations are super important. So in our counties, you have to look at moving from county to county and also wind zone to wind zone. And what that means is on the coast, some houses are built to a different wind standard than they are inland. So you can't take an inland home and move it to the coast because of the restrictions. So knowing what are the regulations with those, also in our county, if you find a house, I believe the year is 78. If it was built before 78, you can't move it within the county. One of the counties has that restriction. So knowing this stuff is super important because if you don't, you buy a house, you think, hey, I'm getting this house for $500. This is going to be a great deal. And you're going to move it off someone's land and you can't. Now you're stuck with, nothing. You've lost your money. So buying paperwork. When we talk about just buying a home in a park, you're going to make sure you have a title, just like a car. The person selling the home should have a title. It's going to lay out the make, model, price, everything of the mobile home. And then from that point, you're going to use something called a bill of sale. Now, this is state to state specific. So different states do work different ways. Your easiest bet is to get on your DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles website, and go and read. How do you transfer a mobile home? How do you sell a mobile home? Okay, that's just the home itself. In our state, we use a bill of sale and we use the title, and everything's done in a real simple process. No closing, we don't have to go to an attorney, any of that. Some states do require that. So again, check your state. Financing to sell. When you're selling a mobile home and you're selling it on land, you're selling it like a house. So everything has to compound and do that way. So you're using a sales and purchase agreement. You're going through the process of selling a house just like you do buying a house when it's been detitled and on land. If you're just selling it, the home as is, it's a title and a bill of sale. Okay. And financing, we talk about, can you sell or finance a property? Absolutely. You can buy a mobile home for $3,000. Put a little work into it and sell it to someone for 10,000, right? And create a stream of income. That's one of the 6 strategies. And mobile home supply stores. These are really important, not only for just making connections and building relationships, which is what we'll talk about, but they're also very important on where to buy the materials. So if you go to Lowe's and Home Depot, you're not going to find some of the materials will transfer and work in the mobile home that will for a house, right? Again, like I said, the bathtub size is different. If you go buy a bathtub from Lowe's or Home Depot, it's not going to fit in a mobile home. So now you're going to have to reconstruct your wall and do that. So for me, going to that mobile home supply store is really important because you're going to go in and you're going to have to buy these materials, and they have them specific. The windows are a different size. So like really having a solid connection at a local mobile home supply store is super important. Now we talk about key relationships in the business, who it's important to know and why. And I think that's every part of our business. I'm so big on relationship building and making connections and knowing people. Mobile home park managers, they are truly the gatekeeper to investing in a mobile home park. It's not the owner, because a lot of times if you're looking at a business plan for someone, they're like, okay, I'm buying a mobile home park. I have money. I don't want to be the person collecting rent. I don't want to be the person dealing with the daily happenings. I want to be the entrepreneur. I want to hire a manager to come in and actually take the money, deal with the headache, and do all of that. So what's going to happen is your mobile home park managers are important to build relationships, because if you're buying in a park, you can't just go in and buy a home in a park just to buy it without finding out what are the rules, what are the restrictions. Will they allow you to sell a home? Will they allow you to rent the home as an investor? Some parks will not work with investors. So if you go in and talk to a seller of a home and you buy a home, and then you talk to the park and they have a really stringent qualification process, you're going to be stuck with a house that you can't do anything with. It's so important to schmooze those park managers, because all a park manager is thinking is you're going to come take my job. I don't want you coming in because that means I have no job security. So once you can kind of move past them, that helps you really recognize what parks you want to work in. Mobile home movers. I've got a local guy. He's awesome. He works with some of the big sales centers and moving brand new Clayton homes into parks and on land. So he's been a great resource just for knowing people, for knowing leads, getting the deal done, right? Like you can find the deal, but if you have to move it out of the park, you need a good mover. Dealers are super important, because you have dealers that deal brand new homes and you have some that are used repoed homes. So knowing where to get discounted houses at, and they also know, guys, this is such an intricate little community. In your area, a lot of those dealers have been dealers for 30 and 40 years. So they have a lot of connections. They know all the mobile home park owners, suppliers, everyone. So really making friends with them is really important. Same as mobile home store owners. So we flipped a house back at the beginning of last year, and I had never been in this one mobile home store. And right off the bat, I made good friends with the guy that worked there. And it was kind of funny because I think he was like, who is this girl, right? Because it's mostly a lot of older men that come into the store. But he was like, okay, this girl knows her stuff. This is good. So we became real fast friends. And he started telling me about deals in the area and what was going on. And it was great just to learn and kind of market research with him. Inspectors are huge. Not only inspectors, but there's a gentleman here that has to upfit the homes. And what that means is he ties the homes down to the ground and he makes sure that they're secure. That guy literally knows anyone and everyone because he's doing it for everyone. There's usually only a couple people that specialize in that. And it's such a big personal referral business. Unlike single family homes, we talk about, a lot of it is technology and doing. When you get into mobile homes, a lot of people are still very old school. So it's really just the conversation piece is your real builder. And the brick mason, the guy who actually puts the underskirting under the home that's brick. They do a lot of the homes in the area and they know a lot of people as well in connection. So it's important to know these people because they're going to be doing a lot of work for you and you want to build a great relationship and a great team. Now, the 6 strategies I talked about, we're actually going to cover 2 today because these are your 2 that you're probably going to come across most of the time. And I think these are your 2 that you're kind of already doing if you're flipping or buying or wholesaling single family homes. Mobile homes are kind of the same in that sense. So basically, we are going to talk about buying or moving a used mobile home in someone else's park. selling a home with seller financing, wholesaling a mobile home, the fix and flip, land home deals, and selling as a turnkey investment. And what I'm going to talk about is just your mobile home in your park and buying it. And then I want to talk about a mobile home on land and flipping it. So guys, and I'll show this at the end, but if you go to christyduckett.com/free, I have included a free mobile home lead sheet for you. Okay. And that's a great valuable tool because when you have your lead sheet for single family homes, it's going to ask questions only about single family homes. So when you try to take that across the board to mobile homes, again, you're going to get a lead and it doesn't correlate at all. So this is going to help you really understand what questions to ask for these types of properties. Now, buying a used mobile home and moving it into someone else's park. So we talk about, again, building great relationships with the managers in a park and the people that are in the park, and then going in and buying used mobile homes and moving it into the park. So if you know there's a park where there's a lot of people or a lot of vacant spots in the park, and you can just drive a park, this is probably your best way to actually learn your market research. Go drive 4 or 5 parks in your area and make a list of what looks different in each one. You know, are the houses newer? Are the houses older? Is it junky? Is it nice? Do you see people congregating outside or is everybody inside? Maybe inside right now because it's so cold, but on a normal day, I like to go in and kind of see what's the feel and flow of the park. Also, is there one entrance in and out of the park? Are there 2 entrances, right? There's certain things you want to look for when you're buying your homes in a park so you feel secure. Because the reality is if you're going to move your homes into someone's park, you want to make sure it's a good place that you can rent and it's safe. If it's not, now you've got a home in a park. And what if it ends up the park is a bust? The owner's not taking care of it. You're going to have to go back and remove your home and pay to move that to another piece of land. So that just doesn't financially make sense. So it's very important to know what type of park you're investing in. Now, the way we calculate monthly cash flow, because remember, we don't own the park. We're just owning the home that's in the park. So we have to actually pay the owner of the park lot rent. And lot rent can vary. And this is another important factor. What does lot rent cover? Is that sewer? Is that water? Is that trash pickup? Are they keeping the park clean? Is the lot rent $300 or is the lot rent $900? And guys, it can be. In some areas, lot rent can go as high as $900 to $1,200. So that's not including your monthly rent payment. So I like to look for parks where the lot rent is lower. So I'll give you an example of one that we've done, and that's actually coming up. But what it is we rent the houses for $600 a month, and the lot rents in some of the parks we deal with are between $300 a month and $325 a month. Okay, so that means that we're going to cash flow after we pay out lot rent to the park. We're able to cash flow $300 or $275, right? So it creates a nice little stream for a very low investment. And I'm actually going to show you a deal on here that was purchased by an investor, and we purchase deals like this as well. But again, you want to check the comparable rents in the park. What is the park renting for? Are they below market rents? Because that is very common that the rents are very low. So you might be able to raise them. So buy also in areas, in my opinion, that are growing areas. You know, I own some mobile homes in rural spots, but I would say buy it in the path of progress because you're able to increase your rents and see what the other housing is. What are the nearby apartments? What are houses going for? And the way I like to kind of calculate, I'll call apartment complexes, and whatever a 2-bedroom apartment is renting for, that's what I rent my 3-bedroom mobile home for, because I'm more likely to get a tenant because they're going, hey, we get more bedrooms for the same price as a 2-bedroom. Why in the world would I live into or move into the 2-bedroom apartment? And also amenities and what's included. You know, some of the lot rents cover, again, water and sewer. So if you live in an apartment, those are all things you have to pay separately. So this is really important to think about when you're running your numbers. Now, buying a used mobile home and moving it to someone else's park. Here is an example of a deal. So we look at the purchase price of the home fixed up, $10,000. It's a 3-bedroom, 1.5. And again, this is in a park. So we have the monthly rent we can actually rent to the tenant is $575. The lot rent you can see on there is $325. And then of course, if you're not, you can manage it yourself. And that's really up to you. I hear some people say, don't ever manage properties yourself. it's a bad idea, manage properties yourself. I think it's whatever works for you. I own a property management company. So some houses we manage for other people. Some of ours that are very hands off that I'm doing some, some of our short-term stuff, I'm managing myself. So I think it depends. Do you live there? Is the property management company good and reputable? That's important because, as you guys know, a bad property management company means you're making no money. So it's really important to look at those things. But the monthly cash flow is important on this, to look at going in and seeing what you make on this. Now, guys, this is a $10,000 investment, right? On a monthly rent. Like, where else can you buy a house for a single family for $10,000 monthly rent and make that kind of cash flow when you have a mortgage on it? It's just really not like possible, right? So this is a great way if you've got a little bit of money to put into something. And I always recommend diversify, have pockets of everything, right? And that's really important. Now, own a rental in someone else's mobile home park. It's a really easy way to get started. You don't feel like, a lot of times when people ask me about mobile homes, their first thing they want to do is buy a park. And I'm like, guys, I've owned several parks before in the past, okay? If you're just starting out, or even if you have experience, a park is different than all other commercial properties. The last thing you want to do is jump into buying a park, trust me, without knowing all the details. And I want you to know, start small, learn how to run a mobile home, and then from there, move on to the next step, right? Don't jump into it full force. So owning a rental, it's a simple way to start. You're not responsible for park maintenance, which I love. So if there's a break in the line, if there's a sewer issue, the park pays for that. So, when you own a single family home and you get a call from a tenant and the drain, and that's happening this morning. I have the plumber coming out. The drain line is clogged up. Well, guess what? Now we have to call in a plumber, and we're going to spend anywhere from $300 to $600 just for, snagging the lines. In the mobile home park, all that's maintained. And it's a great cash flow opportunity for minimal in, which is awesome. Now, looking at this, there are some killers. So I have to be honest, pros and cons, right? We got to weigh that out. Everything's not rainbows and sunshine with rentals. There are some things that could go wrong. So high lot rent could be a deal killer. And I mean this also in the effect of, like, not only when you're buying, but future term. What if park ownership changes? So a lot of the parks that we deal with are mom and pop type of parks. And when you go in and you buy at a mom and pop type of park, you have a great relationship built. What if a huge hedge fund comes in and buys that park? And your $300 lot rent now is all of a sudden, jacked up to $600. What happens to your cash flow? You have none. So it's important to consult an attorney before working in any park, and have a contract in place to know if they do sell, what are my options? Because I can promise you it could go really bad on the back end. You want to have everything written out, just like anything. And does the park allow renters? Again, check with that manager and find out what they do and don't allow. It's important. They might say you have to be owner occupied. And if that's the case, then that's not a park that you're going to want to invest in unless you plan on moving into that mobile home, which is not most of us. Here's a flip case study. So this was actually last year. We bought this house right before the pandemic, and I attended Stacy's RIA. So some of these you guys might actually recognize because I did a case study on this. So we actually ended up buying this house. It was actually listed, and I recommend go on the MLS and do a research of manufactured or mobile homes on the MLS. Have your agent pull those. This was listed on the MLS for $50,000. We purchased it. We negotiated down to $37,000. The reno budget and repairs was $30,000, and we sold it for $110,000. And that was all during the pandemic. So that was a nice, healthy little profit. And we were able to buy, and this is how I usually buy my homes to flip, in mobile home small communities. And I think that's really important because you have really valid comps. So we had comps of houses that had sold a 110 and above. So it was really easy to look at this deal. And you can see the before and after. This was a home a lady had bought and rented to her granddaughter, and her granddaughter just trashed it, which was sad in itself. So we were able to just pump it up and make it look good, right? Nothing fancy, guys. This is another thing I love about the mobile homes. You don't have to go to the extreme. I mean, just make them look good. And that's exactly what we did. And this is the home after, which is beautiful. It looks like most homes, right? You wouldn't even tell from the inside that it was a manufactured home, which is super cool. Now, the next fix and flip case study was in a really great school district. This is the other thing. I look for mobile homes in killer school districts where the housing is super high because it makes affordable for people to buy. So this was listed on the MLS for $69,900. We purchased it for $50,000, and again, a reno budget of $30,000. We sold it for $125,000. And that was an awesome deal. Now this house has skirting underneath it, which is just like that metal skirting that goes around. We actually had our mason brick the foundation and come in and do that. But this was the house before, and that was the house after. And again, look, we have the template for the same materials. I keep it simple. Now in our fix and flips are a little different than our rentals. We actually go in and put Lowe's cabinets in. We actually put laminate flooring. But we don't rip the panel board off the wall. As you can see, they're the strips or the panel board. We actually go in and paint that. And that sold super quick and a great little profit. I mean, on some of these mobile homes, guys, I'm making as much as I would on a single family home, flipping them with no competition. This is the tub. People love their garden tubs. So as you can see, the one before had carpeting on it, which is really weird. I have no idea why they did that in the older mobile homes. And then the brick and the underpinning. So when we talked about the underpinning and the brick, what that does is, guys, you can sell a mobile home on financing with the underpinning underneath it, but it looks a heck of a lot nicer and more desirable for the brick underpinning. And that brick underpinning, just to give you an idea, cost us about $7,000. It was right around that. So it's not really that expensive to make it just shine and look good. So that was that. Now the big things, because I know actually we're heading up to time and some people might have questions. One of the big things for me, I wanted to let you guys know, not only, again, do I invest in just mobile homes, but as Stacy said, I'm going to be leading the South Carolina Super Group. So for members in here, you can attend our South Carolina Super Group each month. And we plan on doing an amazing job each month on the third Thursday of just teaching something about real estate. So just because we invest in mobile homes doesn't mean that's all we do. We do a little of everything. So definitely log into that every month because we would love to have you and teach a little more. And again, go to christyduckett.com/free and get that mobile home lead sheet. And I'm sure Stacy's probably putting that in the chat box too. But literally, I just want to thank you guys for being here, and I hope I opened your eyes to some opportunity with mobile homes, and I'd love to answer any questions you have.
Okay, we have some questions.
I knew you did, and I couldn't see the chat, so I was hanging.
And just so everybody knows, I mean, if you're interested in investing in South Carolina, definitely go to her meeting. But even if you're not, as I said, they're all here to just teach and help you. Every single teacher that's out there, okay? All right, we have one that says, would the rental charge be as competitive with mobile homes compared to single family homes?
That's a great question. I'm actually finding it is right now. A lot of the rental rates, so we actually invest in a park over next to a main hospital, and I've checked the rates on mobile homes versus apartments and some of the smaller housing, and it actually is super competitive. So I think it's actually keeping up now. You might find that in the rural areas, probably not, but in your city pockets, it is, which is awesome because I'm like, okay, I'm able to come in and raise these rents just like I would in my houses.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Do you struggle finding buyers for your flips due to lenders not lending on mobile homes?
Great question. So here's the key, guys, and I will tell you this. And that means maybe you've sold a mobile home in the past or you've heard things. So with the mobile homes, it's really important to find an agent that deals in mobile homes that understands them because there's not many out there. It's important to talk to people in the mortgage industry that only finance and focus on mobile homes, because most lenders are going to tell you, no, you can't do it. That's just because they don't do that. That's not their model. So before you start buying anything, talk to a local lender and find out exactly the criteria, the year of the home. Every area is different on what year they'll lend on and how old. So it's important to talk to a lender. And if you do that, what you're going to find, and this is probably what you've encountered, is if it's a little bit of an older home, because it's a mobile home, right? It's not a house. The taxes are going to be a little bit higher. So sometimes the tax ratio throws off the debt to income of buying and doing. So listen, it is a little more difficult, not necessarily to find buyers, but to get them to the finish line, to get them financed. But again, with a great team, you'll have no problem.
Awesome. We have a couple more questions. Let's see here. Good morning. Okay, I'm in Atlanta. We buy condos. Oh, he's just, there's Christy's. Loving all the information, Christy. Okay, they're just a comment. Okay, good.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I'm in Columbia, so not far from Camden.
Okay, good. Any other final questions on mobile homes for Christy? I don't see anything else unless I missed it. Let me see. Hang on. Hang on. Yes. How do you find a mobile home dealer? Sounds like they could be a great, I guess, connect.
Yes. So I always go good old Google. The easiest way is just Google Clayton Homes is one Clayton. Clayton Homes is one of the biggest distributors of brand new mobile homes. And that's a whole nother strategy. We do mobile homes on land of buying new homes and putting them on land and kind of flipping them that way. So you might just Google Clayton Homes, or in your area, just Google your area. Like I'll do Columbia, South Carolina, mobile home dealers. And literally it will pull up anybody and everybody in that area. And you'll find like some are repo lots, some are brand new homes. And it's great to visit each one of them because you need to understand this and get a feel for the people in your market.
Okay, what's the difference between a mobile home and a manufactured home?
Yeah, so that again is a mobile home is what everybody calls them. And really, I do too sometimes. They kind of go interchangeable. But before 1976, mobile homes were considered mobile homes. After 1976, HUD came in and they created guidelines of how to build them. And then they took on the name manufactured homes. So there's not really necessarily a difference. It's just how they're put together and they're of better quality after that year.
Okay, a couple people are asking. Okay, so Christy leads the South Carolina super group. All right, for REI USA. Okay, so what you're going to do if you want to go to her meeting, her monthly meeting, then you're going to go into the members portal and you're going to register there. And in fact, we're going to do that here in just a few minutes. I'm going to take you through so everybody has an idea of how that works. Okay, because I've had a couple questions on that.
And I know somebody asked about my email and find me in that super group or the form for the mobile home, the free lead sheet. Just go to that website, guys. Everything's on there for me if you have any additional questions or need anything. But really, I want to push people to my super group. My husband Noah is going to be with me doing this the third Thursday of the month, and we're going to talk about everything. So I'm super excited just to educate and teach people about every part of the business, more mobile home stuff, more financing. Guys, we have short-term rentals. We do travel nurses. We do Airbnb. Like we have a lot of experience all across the board that I'm excited to share with everyone.
Yeah. So she does, as I said, she's a badass investor. So she does it all. Like she specializes, she does a lot of mobile homes, but she does everything too. So highly recommend you hang out with Christy. She does the South Carolina super group once a month. Okay. And then we have another question. It says, do you purchase mobile homes in your immediate area or find it reasonable to manage them from a distance?
I always tell everyone, I've done some stuff at a distance on houses and mobile homes. I tend to just stick in my market because there's a lot of deals here. I don't have to go anywhere else. Would I be open to doing it? Absolutely. But again, that comes down to good management. And I saw something about evictions in the chat box. Who's responsible for evictions? You're responsible for evictions. If you buy a home in a park, you have to evict your person. If you're managing it yourself or your property management company, just like a single family home. But the park will not evict, because here's the deal, guys. If you're buying a home in a park and you're renting it or you're owner financing it, you are liable. So if that tenant moves out, you are paying that lot rent, right? Because that tenant's gone. So even though you have a lease with them to do, you ultimately to the park, that's why it's important to have that relationship. You are the person they're going to come to when lot rent's due. So as long as you're paying lot rent, you shouldn't have an issue.
What are the 3 locations for the data plate?
So the electrical box, it's sometimes located on the door of the electrical box. It's weird. It's in the most weird spots. The master bedroom closet. Okay. It'll just be on the wall when you walk inside, or the kitchen cabinets. And it's usually like in the upper cabinet to the left or right of the sink. And you know what happens? You go in and you start rehabbing a house, and what do? You like rip out everything. Like one of my mobile homes, I was like, where's the data plate? It's gone. And my guys had already trashed everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, now what's going to happen? That's when I realized, okay, you can still track that down. It just takes a little more effort. So make sure you have that.
Either don't get rid of it, or you're going to have to just, that's a trial by error.
That's called learn on the job. I've done.
That's funny. Do you purchase? Okay, wait, no, hang on. That's it. Okay, I think that's it. That's all the questions. So we're good. Awesome. Yeah, like I said, just go hang out with her. That's what I said. She's going to be teaching everybody. So highly recommend just hanging out with her when she meets. All right, cool. Thank you for hanging out with us today.
Awesome.
Oh, wait, actually, we have one more question. Bob McIntosh. What are the general rules if you own a park? One of the lots is not paying their lot rent, but they own the home. Can you take the home?
Hey, Bob, it's good to see you on here. So yes, you can actually. So that's kind of the benefit. There are some downsides to owning a park, and there's some great benefits. So yes, if you go in and buy a park and somebody owns their home and they stop paying lot rent, you can evict them. And actually, I hate to say this, most people can't afford to move their home because it's in some areas it's not cheap. Ours, you're probably gonna spend $1,500 to $3,000, depending on a double wide or single.
That's not much.
Not much, but in some areas like Phoenix and higher areas, it's like 10 to 15 grand. So it can be real expensive. So imagine this, if somebody can't pay lot rent of $325, where in the world are they going to get the money to move their home? And where are they going to move the home, guys? Because now they probably have evictions on their background check. They're not going to be able to move in another park. And if they don't have their own land, what's going to happen? So you can actually take over their home for back lot rent, and you can possess that home. So that's actually kind of like bad for them, but good for you. So there's like a lot of benefits to owning the park and doing.
I'm not understanding how it would only cost like $1,500 to $3,000 to move one of those things.
South Carolina is cheap, and I got good connections. So everything, I mean, I feel like our market is so undervalued compared to most, which is why I live here and love it. Like, it's awesome. But the prices have started going up, obviously, because of supply and demand and housing. But you can literally, my guy can move them for like $1,250.
That's crazy. How long does it take for him to move that thing?
Like an hour.
Oh, are you serious?
Oh yeah, because they just go in. Here's what they do. They just pick it up. They, take off the underskirting, take the home, hitch it up just like you would anything, move it to the next part, connect the sewer and water in, and then you have to go through and hook in the electrical and get that approved by the county, right? But everything's set on the ground. I mean, it's really like almost like a trailer, right? Like, I mean, it's nothing crazy.
It seems like it would be harder than that, but I guess it's just not that hard.
It's not. And it's just so funny because like that's another thing, right? People think, oh my gosh, that seems like a lot. I don't want to do that. Like that. I don't understand that. And that's why people away. Like, it makes no sense. Like a house I can buy, it's on the ground, it's there. And the mobile home I can move. This is weird.
Now you see people with like tiny houses, like driving down the highway, it's the same thing.
Literally, it's the exact same thing. That's what's so cool. I love the tiny homes. I've been looking for a piece of land to put one on and short-term rent it. They're cool.
Cool. Awesome. Well, like I said, there's a lot of questions coming in, but we're going to move on to the next thing. So I said, highly recommend just coming to her meetings on a monthly basis. That's the whole purpose of REI USA.
Awesome.
Thanks. All right, thank you. Okay. Take care.